Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And once again, of course, we have another speed build. So I am continuing my ABC alphabet challenge build situation. And we are on to the letter B. It actually took me a long time to figure out the shell of the bee because I just really struggled with this for whatever reason. Honestly, part of it, obviously, I think we'd all agree, round rooms kind of suck. But I kept on coming into a problem where I wasn't able to delete some walls a lot, so I honestly eventually just kind of gave up. And it also looked really weird. I didn't like how it looked right here, so I did end up going back and forth like so many times until I was just like, okay, I gotta move on. But similar to what I did with letter A, I kind of just found a bunch of different aesthetics that start with the letter B, obviously, and then just did a little wheel spin, and I ended up spinning Brat, Girl, Summer, and I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea what that meant. No idea what that meant, but obviously I did a little research, and it's basically, inspired by Charlie XCX's album, Brat Girl Summer, and it's pretty much just like Y2K kind of vibes, but like green. So I really didn't know what I was gonna do for this because I'm like, I have no idea where to go from here. But I figured from all of the different like pictures and like little bit of research that I did, I figured we should probably try to go for like a party kind of vibe. So that's pretty much what I did for this build. Obviously party girl but with green. So I honestly I this build I feel like in my head it took me a very very long time, but I built this like at least a week or two ago, so I don't fully remember if I'm being completely honest. But I know I really did struggle because I'm just like I don't know what to do. And so in my head I kind of just thought, okay, I need to utilize all of the different like kind of party clubbing kind of vibes that we have in the game. So I was thinking like get together, because obviously they introduced I think nightclubs in get together. And then also I don't like working with round rooms. I don't build with round rooms for the reason that it is just too difficult. I feel like the idea of round rooms are really nice because it does allow you to do like some different things that you normally wouldn't be able to do with like, your traditional regular straight cut rooms. But they're just it's so hard. I just don't love working with them. Things just don't place easily, and it's a bit of a nuisance if I'm being honest. But obviously another challenge with this challenge in general is obviously the fact that every single build is essentially a tiny home kind of build. So it's also just hard to incorporate everything that you need for a functional home in such a tight, small space. So I initially was going to do what I kind of did with the center of the A and have it like as an open space. But with having to deal with the round rooms and everything, it was just easier for me to actually utilize the space in those areas. So I went ahead and made those two areas into the bathroom and kitchen area. So that way I actually did have enough space to still have a bedroom, living room, kitchen situation while still having space to incorporate that like party kind of vibe that I wanted to as well. So that's what I did with those little spaces and everything. I honestly was getting really frustrated with this, and then I do believe I did actually play test it, which that's a rarity for me if we're being completely honest. But I did play test it, and so it is actually functional, surprisingly. Um, so the other thing that I found really hard with this is it's a very specific green, I feel like, that they utilize in Brat Girl Summer. And it's like a kind of like neon-y kind of green. It's very much a Sims green. Which you would think with it being The Sims that we would have lots of sim green kind of shades, but not all of them are matching and not all of them blend well together. So I tried my best to kind of still have like that nice cohesive green vibes, but also I wanted it to be like a darker vibe as well, since it was, kind of like a clubby party kind of vibe as well. So it was really difficult for me personally. And then I figured as well, I keep on saying as well for some reason. I don't know why. But I did have the kitchen towards the front or like the bottom part of the bee initially, but then I figured if I'm gonna use the bottom part of the bee for the club area, because that area I made a little bit bigger because I took up some of the space that I was gonna have for the bedroom. I figured it would probably be better for me to have the kitchen where the rest of the living kind of space is instead of having it where the party area is. And so I just moved the bathroom to that other side, which, obviously is probably not going to be ideal for the person living here of having to go all the way on the other side of your house to go to the bathroom. But, it is what it is. So I just made obviously a classic kind of small tiny home-esque bathroom situation. It took me a little bit. I had to move things around in order for it to be functional. Um, but it works. I don't remember if that was the end layout of the bathroom. I think I did actually end up having to change the layout of the bathroom, but I don't remember. And then the other issue that I had was just kind of picking out colors and stuff for the bedroom as well, because I wanted it to be very green, but then at the same time, I wanted it, like, I felt like the green was getting to be a little too much. So I was trying to figure out a way to, like, add an accent wall of green or somehow incorporate other greens. And it just wasn't working out well because I also still wanted it to be that, like, bright, almost neon, very sim like green. But then I wanted to still have a cute like bedroom area, and so I really struggled with that. But I think the bedroom actually turned out well. Um, I do also eventually, I don't know if it's actually in the clip because I actually obviously had to go in the game to do this, but I do change all of the lighting to green lighting to really help kind of give off the vibes that it needs to for that very much, brat girl summer look. Because to be completely honest, even after I finished everything, I still didn't love it, and I still just it didn't look the way that I wanted it to look. So I ended up changing the lighting, and I think that like really helped bring everything together. Um but one thing I learned is I definitely don't love most of the green options that we have in the game in general. But then again, green is not necessarily one of my favorite colors. I like a nice, at least like not neon green. I like a nice like olive army esque, like that nice darker, but not like forest green dark, but like you know what I mean. Like basically like an olive green. But I wasn't able to do that with this situation. I really like that little teeny tiny bar. Um, I really like the curvature and just how it looks. But I honestly don't remember, but I do think I ended up switching it out. Or maybe I did keep it. I don't really remember, but I know I move it from that corner. And I just really struggled on like how to decorate like a clubby kind of party vibe area because I don't really build those kinds of things. And I also don't participate in those kinds of things either. So, I kind of was just winging it, if we're being completely honest. I had no idea what I was doing with this build. Oh, I completely forgot that I did actually add a whole bathroom situation on the other side of the house. So never mind. It's fine because you won't even have to worry about that. Your sim will still be able to have like a bathroom to themselves, basically. Completely didn't realize that I did squeeze in some extra space for that. So there's the solution to that problem. But it was probably because too, like I said, some of the walls that I had, I wasn't able to delete. So I'm sure that was probably one of the walls that I just couldn't delete. So I figured I probably would just utilize it in a slightly different way. So I guess that's like a win-win for everyone there in that whole situation, or in that case, I suppose. I honestly, at this point, like, obviously, I have all of the main, like, functional bits done for the build. It was just kind of doing the last minute kind of decoration additions and just making it more into Brat Girl Summer kind of vibes. Which I did try to utilize the pastel pop kit situation a good bit too, because I felt like that kind of had some Y2K vibes in there. You know, you would think someone like me who, I mean, I was a kid, but I still kind of grew up, obviously, in the time of Y2K. I remember most of the, like, movies and stuff that were around that time, but I don't know. It's a struggle for me because I don't think I ever, even when I was a kid, absolutely loved the style of Y2K. There was like a lot of things that like I didn't necessarily love, but maybe it was also just like I just didn't dress up in trend on trend all the time anyways when I was younger. Um but this was definitely a bit of a struggle for me because I'm like, I know in reality it makes sense as far as it being Y2K, but in my head the things that I'm seeing I'm not loving. Um so it was a bit of a struggle for me. And also just figuring out what to put up for decorations was also really hard for me. That's why I was really relying heavily on the pastel pop kit, and I also think I utilized a lot of the high school year stuff because I feel like obviously that stuff kind of had a resurgence, like the Y2K stuff kind of had a resurgence around the time that those two packs came out. So I feel like they kind of exuded that energy. I could be very wrong, like I said. I don't really. You ask me what Y2K is, and I'm like, mm, lots of color. Because basically, you say Y2K, I kind of just think of like Lizzie McGuire. And like, I never really loved Lizzie McGuire. Like, I watched it, but I didn't love it. And then, like, obviously, there's a way more to Y2K than just Lizzie McGuire, but like, that's the first thing that really pops into my head of like quintessential Y2K. And I tried looking online at not only like the clothing aesthetics, but like, I tried specifically to search up like rooms and stuff like that. But I wasn't really finding that much that was like specifically brat girl vibes as well. So um, that was also, I feel like, another problem that I had. But I did see some stuff that had not Y2K, but like brat girl decorations and stuff. And that's why I tried to also incorporate some like disco glittery vibes. Pretty much only the part of that I really ended up including was the table because it's like glittery and whatnot, because there's not that much. I thought that there was more like disco-y vibes in the game. Apparently there is not, so there's that as well. That was like a whole nother issue. But at this point I kind of was just going with the flow and just trying to add in different like party kind of elements to that main section, because obviously I feel at that point I was kind of good with what I had for like the living area, but I felt like there was just some spaces that I needed to like add in like little bits of decor in here and there. But like the big space that I really needed to add more to was like the party kind of area. um which, if you told me that I was going to have a whole portion of this house dedicated just to the party element, I wouldn't have believed you, but that's what ended up happening. And I also, another thing that I'm now remembering too with this build is I was trying to keep all of the letters like pretty much like around the same kind of proportions, but I did have to make the B slightly bigger just because of the functionality of everything. It just, like I said, the walls and stuff with the round walls, it was just a pain for me to get through. So I ended up just going ahead and making it slightly bigger, and that really, really helped me figure out like the whole curved and round wall situation because I was getting so frustrated. I can't tell you how many times I built, built, bulldozed until I finally figured it out and just had to go ahead and just say whatever and make it slightly bigger. So it kind of annoys me if I'm being completely honest because I don't love the fact that I had to change it, but it's fine. Um it's just one of those things. It is what it is. It's fine. Um and so I think pretty much the rest of this is just me kind of adding little bits and pieces to this room. Now that I'm thinking about it, I totally could have probably did what I did with the anime build and go to the gallery for artwork, but you know, it is what it is. This was a whole nother area that I really struggled with in regards to this build was the roofing. I really didn't know what to do for the roofing, so I kind of just made it simple and did, you know, a little fence situation going on there. Um, I don't like roofing awkward areas. It's just such a struggle for me. So I kind of just did whatever with that whole situation because I couldn't think of anything else to do with it. And I think it honestly at the end of the day it kind of looks fine. I don't think it really fits the Y2K kind of aspect of it, but it is what it is. I think it looks fine. But that is pretty much my little brat girl summer tiny home attempt. I will say it's an attempt. I don't think it's the best situation because like also I just did that for the outside and it isn't the best. But I also didn't want it to be like green. But anyways, that is my brat girl summer build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed just watching the video in general. And I will catch you guys with letter C. And I'll see you soon. Bye!